All right, a few things about the fort itself. You look on top of the fort wall, see some very large cannons. Those are 32-pound cannons, capable of shooting 32-pound cannonballs out of them. Also notice a moat that goes around the outside of the fort. That moat was mostly there for defensive purposes, but also sanitary purposes. It's time for bathrooms were invented, everything flushed out with the current, so I was a lovely thought. That's realistically how things just operated back in those days. If you guys are interested in touring the fort, they do daily tours with a live cannon firing at 1:45 every afternoon, weather permitting. If you bring a riverboat ticket stub with you, they give you a discount to get into the fort. Just wanted to point out the shoreline in general. On either side of the fort, you can see where the two colors meet. That gives you a little bit of a perspective of our tidal swing. So right now this river has started flooding in from the ocean in front of us about 30 minutes ago. It's going to raise the level of the river up to where the two colors meet about next 5.5 to 6 hours. Once again, the river does go up 8 to 10 feet every 6 hours and 15 minutes. I want to talk about a couple of the Confederate gunships that have been anchored in the river. One was called the CSS Georgia. Now the CSS Georgia was originally built to be a blockade runner. So it said at one point the Union had a blockade set up off the mouth of the river. Confederates wanted something that could puncture that blockade to get those supplies back and forth. Confederates a little bit of a jam because that blockade, they did not have the proper materials to build a proper gunship. Found themselves doing is taking a wood frame, any kind of iron or steel they could get their hands on, was ripping up railroad tracks and tearing down buildings, attaching any of that to this wooden frame of a ship. It made it incredibly heavy. When to find the power of this thing was a 90 horsepower steam engine. Launched the Georgia into the river, it just went forward and backward with the current. Did not have enough horsepower to effectively maneuver in one direction or the other. So next best thing to do just with the Georgia's anchor it broadside in the river is a gunship in case Union came up the river from the east. So said the Union came in from the northwest, took over Savannah, moved on to Old Fort Jackson. A handful of Confederate soldiers that were left fled across the river into South Carolina. Did not want to see the CSS Georgia fall into Union hands, so I've just pulled the plug and sink it in this part of the river. Just had it till the early 1970s when it was finally getting away with some of the ship traffic. Decided it was time to get the Georgia up off the bottom. Fortunately, was not very much left of it. It wasn't very well built to begin with. We were able to recover some of the cannons and artifacts from the Georgia. Fortunately, none of those cannons or artifacts are on public display anywhere in the possession of the U.S. Navy. U.S. Navy still today considers the Georgia to be an enemy gunship. Another Confederate gunship scuttled in the river, the ironclad Savannah. Confederates themselves blew a hole in the side of it, sinking and attempting to block the channel with it. Different ship from a different era, the HMS Rose, a British warship, scuttled in the river. So as these river dredges, much like the ones off to the right of us, as they make their way up and down the river, they still today come across these cannons, artifacts, and these very old relic warships. So I said that is a pretty much a 365-day-a-year, 24-hour-a-day process moving up and down the river. So off to our starboard side, that is one of the 2 active river dredges that we have. They move up and down the river as needed. Now the way those dredges operate almost looks like a giant drill bit about the size of a full-size van resting on the river bottom in front. It's going to stir and agitate all that mud and silt. It's like a giant vacuum. It's going to suck all that mud and silt through the big pipe behind it. For a place like Hutchins, where it mentioned is tripled in size from that dredge material. All right, Captain Brock is getting us turned around. We're going to head back upriver. Important question, what do you happen to see any dolphin activity? Nothing yet? All right, we've got about 30 minutes to get back to dock, so we will keep an eye out for that. Meantime, does anybody know what you call a group of dolphins? A pod? What if you just have one pod? An iPod, right? Cue the bad dolphin joke. Sorry, not really. What if you have 3 pods? Tripod, that's the easy one. There's a bunch of pods just kind of hanging out, chilling and chatting together. Be a podcast. Just having some dolphin fun with you guys, some porpoise. I'm almost fin-ish. Fin-ish. Hey, I'm right up here in the, I don't know what color shirt that is, right here. Are you from here? Yeah, you look really familiar. Are you sure? I feel like we've met. I remember. You're not in trouble, don't worry, but I was at the chiropractor. It's about a week back, do you remember? Did you get the joke? Think about what I just said. Chiropractor, week back. Chiropractor, week back. I never believed in chiropractors, but I stand corrected. If your chiropractor is sick and miss work, you get back pay. It makes you wonder. And my jokes need a serious adjustment. They do crack me up. I was going to be a masseuse, but I tend to rub people the wrong way, so I kind of gave up on that. Anyways, we're going to turn around and head up river. You guys a huge favor. I'm going to give you a break for my voice, let you sit back, relax, enjoy this beautiful day. I will keep an eye out. If I do happen to see any wildlife or anything, I will chime in. I'll be on the 4th deck in a few minutes if you guys have any questions as well. But if you don't hear from me, I'll be with you guys. We'll get closer to the city front. So thanks for joining us. Hope you guys have a nice time. We'll talk to you guys very soon. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.